What's up, family? My name is Cricket Smith, and we are here with Show and Tell Boston, where we talk about all things art, all things music, and all things Boston. My name is Cricket Smith. I said it like 4 times. Please forgive me. I'm very, very, very sorry. And who are you to my left, my big furry friend?
I am Tata.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Cheesy.
Woo! This is my first time with you on the couch.
Really?
Yeah. And we have our beautiful friends here, Vladimir and Angela. Angelica. Angie. Give her Angie. From the Roots and Rhythm
podcast.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us, y'all.
Okay, why Roots and Rhythm? Why that name?
So, actually, Angie, you should feel that because it wasn't even really mine. It was Angie's idea.
Okay.
So our kids, our families are right next to each other.
Okay.
So her youngest daughter and our son are literally like 3 weeks apart.
Okay.
So we're always at each other's cribs. So this is the village right here.
I love that.
So one day we were up in like 3 o'clock in the morning acting like we didn't have kids and we about to wake up in like 20 minutes. And Angie's like, yo, why don't we just start a podcast? We always talking about life.
We're always running our mouths.
Yeah, just always talking
about life. Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. I just thought it was one of those ideas you just throw up in the air. I'm like, that's cool. I feel good for a minute. But the next week, she's like, yo, so I'm coming to your house and work on this podcast. I'm like,
my husband said I need a hobby, and this is our hobby.
Nice.
Okay. I love that. Okay, how old are your babies?
So my son is 2.
2-year-old. Oh,
Yeah.
God bless you.
It's real right now.
And then I have 2 girls, 5 and 2.
5 and 2.
Triple
Okay.
twos. Let's go.
They're terrific twos, is what we're
Terrific
speaking
twos.
into existence.
I am
Tumultuous twos
Okay.
is a word, yeah.
Angie, so me and Angie were off camera briefly. We were talking about miracles, right? And I don't even know how we got on the subject of miracles.
But
you actually threw out
you're
the
missing
word.
Bible.
My missing Bible.
And how it was miraculous that you found it a year later.
Yes.
After the car that it was in got sold.
Yes.
And you were like, oh, I'm just going to forget about this bag that's missing forever. And then a year later, it got delivered to a house of an address that is on none of your paperwork. So how did it find you?
Exactly.
You're supposed to have that Bible, and I'm happy to know that you're still reading your Bible because it was a miracle it got back to you. So
I'm telling you. And I like that the word miracle kind of like I didn't really think about it like in that context. Because when I didn't have it anymore, I was like I was telling you, I was like, I'm just gonna give it to God, like, because I wanted to be mad about it not being in my possession anymore because it was a gift, but I also knew that if you trust something to come back, no matter where it was lost or how it was lost, like it will come back.
But
period.
you had to let it go. You weren't thinking about it like, oh, my missing Bible.
Keep you stressing about it.
Yeah.
But my story is interesting, but yours is like fascinating.
Oh.
So can we talk about the manifestation of your miracle?
Yes. So we were talking about miracles, and then I shared with Cricket how my 5-year-old daughter, the day that she was born was the day I found out I was pregnant with her. And it was just a crazy story because 2019 was like literally one of the best years of my life. And it ended on a very high note, but it was a great year. Like I was working out, I was 40 pounds less. Like there was no way that I was going to be pregnant. Like it was just great. I was traveling. It was just a great year professionally. And then in December 6th, 2019, I had to be in LA for work on the 8th. And I just felt like I had a bowel obstruction, TMI, but it was just very weird. Like I was just feeling weird. Right. So my husband, he's a traveling musician. So thankfully he was home this day. And I was like, Wallace, can you just take me to the emergency room? Like, I just feel like off, like something's wrong with me. They need to give me a pill or something so I could take this 5-hour flight in a few days. Right. So we're at urgent care in Nashua, New Hampshire. We were living. And they tell us that we're pregnant. So I'm like, wow, this is great. Like we were married at that point for 7 years. We weren't getting pregnant. There was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with him. It was just wasn't happening. So I had literally let go of the idea that we were going to be natural parents. Like we wanted to adopt a baby like in a few years when we bought a house, whatever. So they tell us we're pregnant. We're boohoo crying. We're calling our moms. We're calling my sisters. Like everybody's like, wow, so excited. They are like, oh, go upstairs to ultrasound, get a picture of your baby before you find an OB, da-da-da. So the ultrasound tech is doing her thing. And she's like, they told you they measured my stomach with a tape measure because it's urgent care. And that's, I guess, how they do that early on. And she told me I was 10 to 12 weeks. my blood pressure was fine. Everything was fine. I was just pregnant. So I was like, okay. So the ultrasound tech is doing her thing. She's like, they told you you're 10 weeks. This is a 7-pound baby. And Alana was sideways, and all I saw was a spine and a head full of hair. And I see her moving on the screen, but I don't feel anything. So I'm cracking up because I'm like, this is a joke. Like, this is a terrible joke, but it's a joke, right? And I was like, that's not me. Like, no, there's no way I was pregnant. Like, literally, I had no stomach. I was 40 pounds less than what I am right now. I was more pregnant now than I was then. So I was like, what is happening? What is happening? So then she's like, yeah, the baby, whatever. I give you a due date of December 23rd. They're like, we have to rush you to the hospital. You haven't had prenatal care. Like, we need to figure out, how the baby's doing, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I go to the hospital. They hook me up to like a heart monitor. I'm hearing this heartbeat. I'm still cracking up because I don't believe it. Yeah. I'm like, this is fake, mad fake. So they're like, no, you have an anterior placenta. So the baby was moving, but the placenta was like in front of my stomach lining. So I don't feel anything. And that happens in a lot of pregnancies. But what got me was I had my period, again, TMI, the whole 2019.
That's crazy.
So I'm just out here like thinking I'm not pregnant. So at 10:30, they told me I was pregnant. Then they're like, ma'am, if your blood pressure can't come down, we're going to have to do an emergency C-section. And at that point, I'm like, you just told me I'm pregnant and I got, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, nothing at my house.
Yeah. You are. Absolutely.
So I have nothing at my house and my blood pressure is not going to come down. So then I had an emergency section. She was born at 11:10 at night.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Like, literally.
That's a miraculous story.
They call my my primary doctor because she's connected to like the same hospital network.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, Angie, thank God you're boring because I don't smoke, I don't drink. Never been interested in none of that. But she's like, well, thank God you're boring, Ange, because this baby's fine. Like, she had to stay in the NICU because your first ultrasound, for those who don't know, tell you the gestational age. So she was between 32 to 37 weeks. So sure I'm very grateful. Got another miracle that I was there and not on an airplane to LA to give birth in like,
that would have been crazy.
I don't know, in the middle of, a flight or something. So, but yeah, and now she just turned 5. She is thriving. She just lost her first tooth. So yeah. And then since that happened to me that way, my second daughter, I was taking a pregnancy test every 3 months because I wasn't going to get my tooth stud. And my husband's like, oh, we're one and done. I'm like, I can't tell because you're not trying to avoid this situation.
Yeah.
And then that's how I found out I was pregnant with Aria. So it's Alana and Aria.
For some context,
Beautiful.
Could I get to know who you guys are as individuals and what you guys do, and then how you guys came together and what your podcast is specifically like about?
Yeah. You want to go first? I talked a lot.
Sure. So that story is just wild. Every time you tell it, I feel like I learned something else that I didn't know before.
It's always my interesting fact.
It's a crazy story. I love it.
So I believe that God doesn't make any mistakes, right?
Absolutely.
And that the timing was perfect when we started to think about this podcast. Because if you would have came to me like 2 or 3 years ago, I've been like, I ain't got the time or the bandwidth to do this.
Yeah.
So bringing it back a couple of years, for the last 6 years up until 2023, so between 2017 and 2023, I was a Mass State Trooper.
Ooh.
So we talking about big pointy hats, all that.
Okay.
Never planned on doing it.
Okay.
Took the test when I was in college, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I'm in school because my mama told me I gotta be here.
Right.
I don't really know what I'm gonna do with this. Right. And so my boy David was like, "Yo, we should take the civil service exam," because we would on our summer breaks we'd be doing. I don't know if you guys know about DCR, the state agency.
Yeah.
They clean all the parks and do all the trash and stuff.
Okay.
So I was on the trash truck doing whatever, just trying to pay my way through college. Took this exam. It was supposed to be free, but me and my late ass, I just forgot to take the test, so I had to pay for it. Ended up getting a 98. Never heard anything. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I didn't really want to be a cop anyway, so that's cool. And then 3 years later, I get a call when I'm working as a program director in Cambridge, which I'm from. Shout out Cambridge.
Woo! I love me some Cambridge. Shout out to Cambridge. You from Cambridge?
From Cambridge.
Yes,
from the coast.
Let's go.
Grew up in the coast until I was 10, and then I lived in the port for a while.
Beautiful.
Until we moved out.
Okay.
And so I took this exam, got the call back, and then I went through it, not really knowing what I was going to do with it. And went to the academy in 2017, and it was wild. I graduated despite my grandma. I came home one day. My grandmother was living with us. She was 94.
Whoa.
She died. And then that Monday I had a test, and then we buried her the next week.
Whoa.
And the week after that, I was in the emergency room for I don't know if this is TMI too. Since we on the TMI, might as well just show it all.
Give it to us.
Literally.
So I had what was called the testicular torsions, when one of your vessels wraps around your nuts, and then felt like somebody was stabbing me in the gut. So then I got surgery the same day. I had to go back 2 days later to the academy.
Whoa.
Actually, no, 2 days later I went back to the hospital because I had a complication. So my nuts looked like grapefruits. So then I went back, stayed another 2 days. Got out, went back to the academy. My wife brought me back to the academy, and I was walking in there like this. With the coconuts, okay?
Not the coconuts. LOL.
So then I did that, failed an exam. They all sat me in front of the entire command staff, said, yo, you're gonna fail this academy. You don't have enough time. You already failed an exam. You missed enough time. You might as well just defer. I said, no. I'm like, bro, I don't know why I'm here, but God told me to come here. I'm not leaving here if I'm not leaving the trooper.
Me and my nuts are staying right here and taking this test.
Listen, I don't know what I did. I think I took a deep breath and my nuts went back to where they were, and I graduated somehow.
I'm screaming. Okay? So you were hurting when you went inside?
I've been hurting since. Right?
So
sometimes I sit lopsided. I'm like, ooh.
I'm screaming.
It hurt a little bit, but so I was with the state police. Graduated. I thought I was on top of the world.
Yeah.
And then within a few months, I realized like, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be here. Everybody's experiences are different, but within the first 3 months, the experiences I had specifically with the coaches I had, they weren't bad people.
Yeah.
They made bad decisions when it came to how they interacted with people of color. And I started having an identity crisis. I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. And we're going to get to where that identity crisis was actually rooted in, right? But either way, fast forward, I got hurt on the job. Every single year that I was there, I got hurt. So I had the torsion in the academy. And then in 2019, I had a gun accident. Exploded my face on the job from my service weapon. 2020, I got COVID. 2021, I had long COVID. And then 2022, I hurt my back again. So it's just every single year, God's like, if you don't get what I'm trying to get to you, I'm gonna keep taking something from you.
That's what Angie was talking about.
So I ended up getting retired in 2023.
So you started in 2017?
Yep.
And you ended in 2023?
In 2023. Okay. And so I'm like, what am I supposed to do with my life now?
Right.
But I was having such an identity crisis. When God finally released me from that, I'm doing everything now that I'm supposed to be doing. So right now, I'm a motivational speaker, also a podcast host.
Let's go.
I'm an empowerment coach. I work with men, and I help them become present and effective leaders. Right? By embracing their trauma and pain and identifying their true identities.
You an author? Talk about it.
Thank you, Ange. And I'm an author of the Embrace Method. I wrote that book shortly after my son was born. And what I didn't realize back then was I was trying to provide a blueprint for my son so that he could hear his father's words. I had a huge father wound. My dad and I had a really tumultuous relationship. My parents divorced when I was 10.
Yeah.
The relationship was crap. They were fighting all the time. It was a war zone at home. So I wanted to give my son what I didn't have, but I also wanted to give him context for who he was, and telling him who I was.
Right.
What I didn't know at that time was that I was severely depressed. I'd later be diagnosed with major depressive disorder. And I'm like, makes sense, You don't know what you don't know. But what started as a book for me to be able to give my son so he could give to his son became a movement. So now I'm telling the Embrace Method, and I'm talking about my story everywhere, right? And so that's what led me to this podcast. I'm like, yo, I gotta get on this podcast. I don't know how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna knock on some doors, and I'm gonna show them my coconuts. Now I'm playing, but
Don't show 3 black doors. Pick a door.
If you show them things, they ain't gonna bring you back.
Yo.
It is show and tell.
Yeah, it's show and tell Boston.
Not that.
Jeez, please.
He is a father.
That's hilarious.
Oh man,
that's a beautiful story.
So
because it's all about legacy.
All about legacy.
Yeah.
All about legacy.
So what made you go from like, okay, do you feel like God placed you in the position to take the state trooper test?
Oh, most definitely. It's funny because there were so many years that I was actually, when I got that depressive diagnosis, when I was waiting to get retired from the state police,
I
discovered later that I was depressed pretty much my whole life.
Whoa. That's crazy.
But it looked good. It didn't look like that because I'm a happy guy, come dap you up, and I'm always laughing. But those are the people you got to check on the most. Because when they hit rock bottom, they fall
Real deep.
10 deep flat. Like you fall like all the way flat. And it's sudden, right? So I think God put me in that position to do two things. Build a generational stronghold for my family. Because by the time I realized I wasn't supposed to be there long term, I was like, listen, before I catch another bullet to my tooth, I got to do something. So I started, listen, me and my wife, we sat down. We're like, yo, I'm not playing no more with this. Got the financial literacy information we needed. We had a condo in Salem. We sold that condo, bought a duplex, she paid off her car. I paid off my car, got out of that debt. We was like, we only going to have real estate debt. Okay. So then we rented that out for a little bit. Then we bought our single family in the country is where we live. Where the black population is 3 because it's 3 of us.
Please. Please.
And so now we're renting that place out. So I think God put me there, number one, to do that, but also to find myself. Because sometimes, I mean, it's great to hear the story of somebody who always knew what they wanted to do. They chose a career. And they went for it, and they've been doing it for 40 years.
Right.
And so for a long time, I'm like, why isn't that my life? I'm like everywhere. I'm a program director, and I was a personal trainer. I was this, I was that.
Yeah.
And then, but I think God put me there because it was completely off of my path. And I had to be all the way in left field, and I had to endure the pressure and the depression in order for me to actually find my true identity.
It was just a stepping stone, something you needed.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. God is good, man. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. And I'm happy, man.
Dang, I need to process that. That's good. Because I think that like you said that you realized you had depression your whole life. I mean, you said that looking back, you probably had depression your whole life, but because you were a outwardly happy person until this one situation triggered probably maybe what we were discussing about earlier about environment, triggered something within you that activated something that made you fall into that pit. And I can relate to that because my favorite thing to do is to laugh. And it wasn't until maybe like last year, the year before, I just started like randomly just crying, walking down the street, like crying. I'm like, dang, like, why am I crying so much? I'm not a crier.
It's like that.
You know what I mean? Like I'm like, I don't mind crying.
Right.
Like I'm walking down the street randomly, just like crying. I'm like something is not right, you know? And growing up, like I knew that I didn't know what ADHD was, but at some point I'm like, dang, like, I need to take like an ADHD.
Can we talk about it?
Oh,
We have to talk about it.
But
Because some people don't even like really.
But I did ask for both of your guys, like
Oh, sorry.
so both of your origin stories, because I'm trying to figure out how all this ties in with the guests that we have, so the audience knows.
For sure. So Angie Thomas, originally from Florida.
Let's go.
I'm Dominican and Cubano. I found my
Let's go.
Floridian friend
Yeah.
here. Woo woo. So I moved to Boston or Massachusetts area 10 years ago. My husband's like I said, a traveling musician. He auditioned for this group that he's in, and we moved up here. I'm the oldest of 6, and I say that because I feel like I'm the eldest daughter to a T. Like I need to control situations. I'm the family manager. If my siblings see this, you know I'm the family manager.
In case you forgot.
In case you forgot, go to the WhatsApp. But yeah, so I'm the oldest. Me and my husband's been together. We're college sweethearts. And then Florida, obviously, I grew up there. I was born in DR, but I just thought I was going to be in Florida my whole life. And then when he got this job, I'm like, wow, opportunity to leave. He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, please, I don't care. Like, you're living your dream. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but anywhere that I go, I'm just very successful, and that's not me bragging. That's just the literal facts.
Right.
So right now I work for a technology company, killing it at work. Have no technology background. My degree is not in technology, but like you show me how to do something once, I'm going to do it.
Let's go.
You know? So I always tell him I got the family on my back because he's living his dream. He's a professional musician, and I got the insurance. You know? We need that. And he goes to the doctor a lot. So it's like
It's a balance.
hello. Yeah.
Family manager.
Yep. So we were renting in Lowell in New Hampshire, and we finally bought a house. We were saving up. We paid off all our debt except the house. And then we just got a new car. So now we have a car. But yeah, so we've been there. We have 2 girls, and yeah, we're just a very suburban family.
I love it.
And so you guys met up.
Absolutely.
You guys started a podcast.
Yep. So my husband is a singer, and then his brother-in-law and my husband are in the same group. So his brother-in-law is married to his sister, obviously, and they're in the band. And then we just got our families together one day because we lived close by. They were looking for a house. They bought a house close-ish to us because when we started hanging out, we would not leave. Like literally, we've been together. Our kids like each other. They are growing up as cousins. They call Theo Vlad, and they're obsessed with him.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, and we're raising our kids kind of like the same way. Like we're trying to be better than our parents.
Absolutely.
And we're both Caribbean. We're raised kind of like very similarly, actually, which is a little bit scary. We both got old ass dads, and they raised us kind of like how they were raised. So they're old. So it's like very old school, like corporal punishment type, kneeling on rice type, like things like
Ashinu,
that.
let's go. Yeah, let's get it.
So we kind of bonded like that, and we would hang out and just tell like very similar stories.
And so is the podcast about raising kids, or is it about...
It's about everything. So literally how the roots that you have kind of create the rhythm of your life. And you get to decide, are you going to continue in the things that happen, or are you going to decide to like grow and be better? We both live up here. His family is close by. Ours isn't. So it's like we're creating our own community. And we're very intentional about who we let into that community. So we're thankful that we have people like, you know, Vlad and his wife and like their families, and now his mom who is in love with me. So that's my
Even
she's
your
like,
mom's a part of the team too.
yeah.
Once you win a Haitian mother, you don't have a choice.
That's so
I
true.
had the girls get her flowers, and the
dude.
girl, and then she has only sons and then a grandson. So the
Oh,
girls
wow.
walked in there and they're like, "Hi, Vlad's mom," and she's like obsessed.
Oh, that is the sweetest.
My mom always said she wanted 2 girls, but God gave her 2 boys. I was like, damn, Mom, sorry.
Oh,
Okay. But now she's got her wish. So
Yeah.
now
Absolutely.
She don't have to ask me about no more grandkids.
I'm screaming.
She think my mom it's real out here.
No, I'm telling you, that's really how it works out too. Like, and like as we're talking about God, like whenever you like do the right thing and like you obey, like you may not get it in the way that you seem like it will come. Like she wanted 2 girls, obviously she got 2 sons, but then it's like you married your wife, but also too, like in my situation, it's like I'm like I was telling the story earlier with Freckles. I have a my biological father who I didn't meet till I was 21, but I also have a stepdad, and I also have another man in my life, you know. So and I got my 2 brothers, and I have good male karma.
Yep.
Right,
I have so much good male karma. It's a blessing. Like I can't even be upset. Like, dang, I didn't meet my dad till I was 21. Like, yeah, of course I would have loved to know him earlier in my life. But like, whenever you do good, and like it goes back to like obedience. Because I was thinking to myself, like, why do certain families have generational wealth and some families don't? Then I got my Bible back.
What did the Bible tell you?
The Bible told me, because I don't even go to Google anymore. I'm like, you know what? Let me ask God. And that day, I started looking at Matthew. I started looking at Leviticus. Started looking at learning about fasting, learning about the year of Jubilee. We're in the year of Jubilee right now. As I'm reading it, I'm like, dang, that sounds nice. Realized 2 days ago, we are in that year of rest. Like, as it goes back to like trauma and wealth and generations, it's like obedience is what gets you. When I ask my kids to do something, 4 and 2, I'm in the trenches too, right along with you guys.
Girl,
it's a struggle bus. It makes you want to give them everything, right? It's like, dang, like he did what I asked him to do, or she did what I asked her to do. Like, yes, like what you want, baby? Go on Amazon. My son love Amazon. He just be putting stuff in the car. Check that car. What's so bad?
And that's why you need a balance, because I'm very quick to do that too.
Yes.
And my husband like, she don't need that.
Right.
And I'm like, but she's such a good girl.
I'm just a baby.
That's my baby.
I'm just,
She just lost a tooth. She deserves every stuffy she sees at the store.
That's right.
And he's like, but she has so many. You know, and it's like, where's that? You have to like walk that boundary and that line of, okay, I want to give them everything, but where's that limit? Because you still want them to be like productive people and not be spoiled brats.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But as it relates to you and like ADHD, can you talk a little bit about your diagnosis and what made you even be like, yeah, I need to go see it? Did you see a therapist or?
Yeah, so I was in therapy for, at that point, I think at least 8 years. And the thing about conventional talk therapy is that you can be in it forever.
Yeah.
And still not be scratching the surface of your trauma.
Yeah.
Right? And not to take anything away from my talk therapist, I got through a lot with him, but it wasn't until my son was born that I was plunged into, I couldn't laugh it off. I couldn't achieve it off now. Like I was depressed, right? You were talking about like, oh, why am I crying all the time just randomly? I thought it was, I didn't really talk about it, I guess, but I just thought it was normal there'd be days my wife would go to work. Yeah. My son was in daycare and I would just be in the fetal position in my room, crying in the dark, listening to Billie Eilish. It's real like that. I
love Billie Eilish.
Okay?
Let's go.
Yo, like Billie was my girl, but then after a while, I was like, I gotta stop listening to shit.
It's too good.
It's getting me a little, put me in that spot.
Yeah.
Like when I want, and actually one of my prayer partners, he says that addictions we could be addicted to anything, right? And one of the things that we can be addicted to is despair as well. Oh. And so if we're depressed, my first thing is, okay, I want to feel sad right now. I'm going to go in there. I'm not going to be productive. I'm going to numb myself using whatever I can. And I'm just going to be here. I'm not going to live. I'm going to exist. So after a while of doing that, I was like, I've got to do something. I have no idea what's going on. It's never been this hard. Well, actually, it had been. And I'll get to that in a bit. But this is particularly hard. Yeah. And just gross and dark. And I don't want to go back to where I had to crawl out of. So let me figure this out. So I talked to my therapist about it. He's like, yo, go see a psychiatrist. So I go to see a psychiatrist. I'm convinced this is ADHD because I was always. I promise you.
I'm telling you.
I got kicked out of class so many times in school that they had me, my boys. We always had the 3 seats in the office nearest to where the door was. We were always there, and it wasn't because I was beating kids up or anything like that. I was just always laughing and making noise, and I couldn't shut up.
Yes.
Okay? I just thought I had high energy. So when I started doing this questionnaire, they have you have somebody who's known you for a long time. Yeah. Somebody who lives with you. My wife is like, bro, you definitely have ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know why we had to go through all that. Like,
that's what my doctor said.
Why you got to ask anybody? Because your brain be here and then it'd be there and then it'd be back in Cambridge. I don't know where you at sometimes.
Not back in Cambridge. Right.
But it was so freeing because it didn't really change anything. It just gave me context for why I can put my drink down there and forgot where I put it and be circling around the block looking for it. Like, yo, where I put my drink? You see my drink?
I'm telling you.
You know? So for me, it introduced me to 2 things. Number 1, medication. Now I tried the medication for ADHD. I'm on antidepressants and it changed my life. So for anybody who's looking at this, especially my black and brown folks, listen, there's a stigma around medication that I really don't know what the stigma is. But
because you could just take some ginger and then you could be cured.
I guess. I don't know. Wrap your head in leaves or something.
Yeah, Vicks. Vicks, Vlad, Vicks.
Vlad will make a Vicks. You need to put Vicks on your forehead and ask God for forgiveness, okay? I'm like,
pray it away, Vlad.
Yeah, you can't pray it away, man. And so I was on medication at first and it changed my life. Like I remember the first time I took that first pill of Concerta, and I was like, Julie, I was like, my wife, I'm like, Jules, get in here. Get in here. She's like, what? I'm like, shh. You hear that? Yeah. She's like, no, what are you talking about? It's silence.
Yep.
I can actually hear silence.
Yeah. Someone that I know with ADHD says that it's like your brain before medication is like all these balls bouncing up and down. And then with the medication, it's like all the balls are down and you could pick up what you want to do. You know? And I was like, that's a great metaphor.
It is. It is. I don't take medication now, but it gave me enough time on it to start building coping skills so that I can live my life. Now, don't get me wrong. Like Angie will tell you, when we were trying to record our first podcast episode, we were there for like 2 hours. And I was like,
yeah.
And we needed the best things. Yeah. And I was like, bro, we could just use our phone. It's the first episode.
I was like, nah. It's got to be perfect.
Starting
this got to be there. This got to be there. I got to have my applications and I have all my ducks in a row.
We got regular mics. Well, now we got lapel mics, okay? Ooh. Listen, we might not have no episodes, but we got the best little studio in the basement, okay?
We do.
It's very nice.
We do. So it's interesting. So I tried, at first, the dosage was great. And then I got used to it, and then I needed more. Yeah. And I I walk a very thin line with medication, okay, because I come from a family where addiction runs deep. So I didn't want to become addicted to this because I knew it was very easy for me to do that. So I went up in dosage, then it was too much. I felt like my brain was on fire. And I couldn't sit in my skin. I was sitting there. I mean, I was driving my
Please.
daycare. I was like,
Please.
y'all ever see that episode of Family Guy where Peter took some good stuff? Then he's like, I'm so fucking ready. And he like goes through the, like, that's how I felt, bro.
Yo.
I gotta calm down.
Yeah.
I gotta calm down.
Absolutely.
Because I felt too locked in.
Yeah.
So like, I can't live my life this way. So then I started taking less and less of it. And one day I was like, I can't take this shit anymore. So I stopped taking it. And then I realized I was not as productive anymore. And those balls were bouncing like, there was tennis balls, basketballs, footballs, coconuts, everything. Everything was bouncing in my head. But the way that I keep an even keel is by creating schedules. Like, bro, if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. So.
Vlad also has a giant like whiteboard, and it's like everything he has to do during the day and then the 7 days of the week, and he checks it off.
I love
like that. Literally everything.
Absolutely.
And I send that, so I'm part of a men's support group called the Men's Winning Circle. Yeah. And that support group literally saved my life. And whoever knew men being in community with men would actually create far better outcomes than just going to talk therapy for 8 years. Right? But I send that to the Men's Winning Circle every week, whether it's all checked off or it's just a bunch of lines through. Right. A lot of those weeks just be lines through.
That accountability.
Right. With ADHD, you know
and that consistency.
You see one thing, you're like, oh shit, I gotta do that. Yep. And then next thing you know, your whole day is gone. And you're like, damn, what did I do all day?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And that just speaks also about like the importance of community and like being honest with like your group of friends. Yeah. Men, I know that that's not a natural thing that happens, but I feel like women too, especially in motherhood, isolate themselves because they think they're the only ones that are going through a certain situation or they don't want to be a burden. Right. Because that's the thing, you know, it's like you're a burden to other people. I can't share this. Right. So something that I do, and Vlad's met my neighbor Christine. Me and her started a mom's club. We're the only people in the club.
Please,
but
Angie, please,
because we got car seats, so no one else fits in our cars. So
you can be in the club if you
can be in the club after my kids don't need a car seat no more. You got a 3-row, maybe. But yeah, so it's me and her, and it's literally just us doing like mundane errands together. Like it's every other Friday night, and we do grocery shopping, we get our nails done, like whatever we need to do in that day. And it's great. And it's just bouncing off things with each other. Like, oh, I'm going through this. My kid did this, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, mine too. Oh, me too. And it's just great. And I feel like everyone needs someone like that or a whole group or even a village. Absolutely. And so I go to Vlad's house on Thursdays because I work from home. So I go and work there. And then we do like podcast things, try to record a podcast.
Right.
I think third time's a charm.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's like doing community. Like I'm literally there working and like we're bouncing off ideas. Like he knows a little bit more about what I do at work. I know a little bit more about like voice acting. His wife also works from home, so then I'm learning about the social work things that she's doing. So it's great. And then even to the point where she used me and my Spanish skills to help her with a work thing that she was doing. So it's like you don't know how people can help you unless you also share, like people share their joys, also share your struggles because you don't know who can help you.
That's right.
That's right. Be vulnerable.
Yeah. I feel like we all live a different variation of the same life.
Exactly.
We really do.
That's a human experience, though.
Right. Yeah. But you wouldn't know until you like talk about it. You open your mouth and say it. You know?
So you start yapping.
And that's the crux of the Embrace method is sharing my story and encouraging people to have the courage to share their own. Because until I wrote that book, my story that I would share in pieces was the curated version that my mother thought was acceptable, or that my father probably thought was acceptable, but my friends thought were acceptable. I was creating this image of who I was based on the versions of the story that I made up or I just decided to share. Instead, that writing that book was the first time I told my story raw, as it was. Ooh. And there's some things I didn't even put in the book because I was already too far into the book that I realized was that I'm like, oh, maybe I could have put that in the book, but I didn't. But the point is when you share your story, there are many, many reasons why you probably shouldn't. Or couldn't. Right. When you actually do, the world opens up to you. People open up to you. People open up to themselves. It's
that's good.
It's a snowball effect.
That's true.
I would just
reading what it's called, the Gift of Imperfection or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the book was, title was, but it was talking about that, talking about courage, the courage to share, the courage to be in the community, the courage to connect, you know, the courage to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? That just, like you said, opens up connection.
Absolutely.
Opens up, you know, community, opens up God, I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that those are both of the things, even the mother group, both of those powerful
Absolutely.
groups, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Y'all some powerful people.
Appreciate you,
Absolutely.
man.
Yeah, but you have to be open to sharing that and be vulnerable, because that's how you build that community. And I know people are like, oh, where's the village? Where's the village? You have to create your
Come on.
village.
It's not
You have
right.
to be intentional, like who you let in your circle, be open to share, because who's going to trust you unless you are honest? Like you said, raw. That's how you connect with people, like being that honest and true to yourself and your story.
Yeah.
Vlad, has there been like a story that... Wait, were you involved with addiction?
I was.
You were.
Yeah.
Is that why you felt like whenever you were taking the Concerta and you got the high dosage that you felt like you could fall back into that?
Oh yeah. So just a little background. So when my parents, when they separated, it was like one of the messiest separations you could see, right? So like my mom, when she was finally getting the courage to leave my dad, she would have left him like 3 or 4 years ago. But it's a whole bunch of shit. Like it was just resources. My mom came from Haiti. She didn't speak English. She was learning English and reading my little kindergarten books with me and my brother.
Oh.
And so she was getting her resources together, getting her stuff together. She was trying to get on the wait list for the projects, for the housing projects. Couldn't do it. Realized that her name was tied up in a house. Like when we talk about domestic abuse, we're not just talking about putting hands on people.
It's financial abuse.
Financial abuse is a piece too. It's that cycle that keeps people from leaving and escaping the cycle, right? So my mom finally was able to leave. And I was going back and forth because like in that house, it was me and my dad in one corner and my brother and my mom in the other corner. And my dad, he really connected with me in the only way that he knew how, which was the least personal way. So he'd buy me the video games, right? I had all these video games. Of course, they were like 2 generations old by the time he bought them because he was kind of cheap. But
Please.
Bro, I was playing Sega Dreamcast in 2003. It hurt, but it was cool.
Not your hurt.
I'm like, all my friends, I'm like, yo, I got the game. I'm like, oh, I
Please.
So I'd be going back and forth between my parents' house, and one day I was 15, and there was a kid. We lived in the Jackson Gardens projects on Harvard Street in Cambridge.
Okay.
And there was this kid that was a year younger than me who was next door, and he was wilding out at school. It was a very similar situation. He was there it was him, his mom, and his little brother. His dad wasn't around. His mom was dating people. And I wanted to mentor him because he was always getting kicked out of class like I was, right?
Yeah.
And so back then, 8th grade, when I was a freshman in high school, he was an 8th grader, and you think you're like a god if you got 1 year on somebody, right?
Right,
so
right,
I'm
right.
like, young man, let me give you the keys to the kingdom.
Please. Yes.
So I'm trying to talk to him, build community. My mom, being how she had to have her children under control because she couldn't afford to suffer the defeat of I left this abusive man with these 2 kids and now they fell into the streets. I can't do that.
Come on.
So she thought that's what was going to happen. And so we're arguing about this, going back and forth. Like, she's like, I don't want you going over there. And so I'm like, yeah, I got to go down the street, get some M&Ms, go for a bike ride. And she said, if you leave, don't come back.
How old were you at this time?
I was 15, I think 15 and a half. And I said, okay, bet. My daddy didn't want me. You don't want me either? Fine, I'm gone. And so I left and went right to my daddy's house. So my dad, when I showed up, my dad was like, oh, son, you here? Okay. Here's a computer. Here's your own room. Like I was in a cramped little room in the projects with my brother, and he and I didn't have a relationship because we were basically raised to hate each other, against each other.
Oh.
So I was like, man, I'll get my own room. It's cool. And so what I didn't realize, because for many people, you think addiction is just hard drugs.
Yeah. Right.
Or, the things
Alcohol.
or alcohol, right? My drug was pornography. And that's where it really took shape. And I wouldn't realize this until years later, but what gave my addiction to pornography life was a early childhood sexual abuse that happened with one of my cousins. And I didn't even know this happened until I was like 32. And I had a flashback. I was listening to Kendrick Lamar's album, The Big Steppers. Y'all listen to that album?
Yeah.
It was one of the best Kendrick, and I'm a big Kendrick fan. It was one of the best Kendrick albums ever. But when it got to Mother Sober, and he was talking about how his mom had suffered some sort of SA in her life, and then he was questioning whether he had the same. And I was like, and I remember I never forget, I was walking in Lowell. I was on my break, and I was walking, and I just had this intense flashback to this happening. And I couldn't sit with myself, right? I was like out of my body. Like I couldn't sit with myself. And it took a lot of hard work to work through that. But that's what made the addiction to pornography possible. And I never knew why. I struggled with it for years and years. And I hated myself for it. But I used it to numb myself from all the negative feelings I didn't want to feel. And so that's why by the time the ADHD diagnosis came, I'm like, I don't want to play with this because I know how my brain is already pre-wired to use anything to get away from myself. So
true. I think I deal with like I would never call it abuse, but like I definitely have like a compulsion issue. Like whenever I have like, you know, interest in things, like say if I got addicted to video games, like I'll say like I remember going through college and like I went through a traumatic event, like a breakup, and I was just in the house. It'd be times I wouldn't even sleep for 3 days playing the game.
Oh wow.
You know?
Wow.
But like it did drive me up to like be like very good at the game, but like you said, it's just like I had this compulsion. And it's always something like that with like, you know, if it comes with like just even dealing with mental health. Like I was telling my friend the other day, like, oh, I think that why I got so involved in like doing research on human behavior is because how frequently I was manipulated as a kid. You know, how people always projected themselves on me as a child. Yeah. So like I always wanted to understand human behavior, body language, and stuff like that. So I understand when people are coming at me and trying to manipulate me. When I understand when you're coming at me with that manipulative behavior or action or movement or a tone, you get what I'm saying? So like that's what really drove that, I would say. Yeah. A lot of different things too. Like,
yeah, it's like you're trying to make sense of your life and how it happened for you. Yeah. Wow, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's why I got interested in epigenetics, understanding how trauma gets transferred from generation to generation, and it happens for that same reason. Like something happens to your parents, they replicate it, and there's no magic pill, there's no magic antidote, but the one thing that we have to do if we're going to do things differently, like you said, Angie, with our kids, is there has to be some sort of intervention. Yeah. And when you hear intervention, you hear a bunch of people in a room telling you that you suck, right? But what intervention really is intervening with a process that is problematic. That's what generational curses are.
Right.
And they become curses because nobody actually stands in the gap to intervene. Think about it. So one of the things that Angie and I both agreed upon is that we don't lay hands on our kids. And trust me,
it's hard. Okay, I'd be burning on the inside because your instinct is to strike because that's what was done to you. Exactly. We used to get molly-whopped. Okay, molly-whopped. Okay, and I could not even imagine doing that to the girls, like at all. But it was done to me out of love. And what are they supposed to think if I do that to them? That someone that molly-whops them loves them.
True.
Relationships, friends. Yeah, right. You're trauma bonded, you know? Because it's violence. At the end of the day, it's violence. And why would you do that to someone you love? Right. And I don't fault my parents. I don't fault any parents because they're doing what they know. Yeah. But there's too many resources in the year of our Lord, 2025, for us to still be hitting kids.
True. And it's tough because to that point, we all like I be trying to fight it because so my son, he's in that hitting phase where he's like literally going to school, and I remember I walked him in the daycare, walked through his classroom, some kid walked up to him and was like, "Hi, Lito." He just slapped the out of him. I was like, "Yo, they gonna be looking at us like we crazy, like we slapping people,
right,
and we ain't slapping nobody. Why are you slapping him, right?" And it wasn't. So my wife's a social worker, and God bless her because she helps make sense out of a lot of these things that I've gone through. And it wasn't until she was like, I think you're triggered whenever he hits somebody because of what you saw between your parents. And I was like,
because it's normal kid behavior. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how they express it. They don't have the words to express themselves, and that's like our job. Teach them what to do instead of hitting.
Yeah.
So again, why would I hit them if I'm trying to tell them not to do that to little Billy at school? You know? It's like, don't do that, right? And then it's funny because at school, whenever there is a hitting incident, my daughter also goes through that. It's like, has anything changed at home? That's like they ask us that. Oh, that's
wow.
like, but not for the 2-year-old, for my 5-year-olds. Because she is more, the first one tricks you into having more kids, guys.
Yeah.
Because my first daughter is an angel. God bless her. The baby is a no limit soldier. She does whatever she wants. But my oldest, she is very quiet, like more passive. So when she hits somebody, the teachers are concerned. It's like, so like, is anything going on at home? I'm like, we're not even a yelling house because I come from a yelling house. So we don't yell. We don't even yell at these girls. When I do mess up and yell at them, because again, it's what's ingrained in me, I apologize to them. I shouldn't be yelling at you.
Right.
But anyway, so they're like, is anything happening at home? I'm like, literally nothing is happening at home. You know, nothing. It's just how kids are, you know? And it's just because she didn't know how to tell her friend whatever, and that's what they do. But it's our job to try to teach them how to express themselves, how to use their words and not hit. So yeah, no hitting.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break, but can you make a mental note of that? Because I'm gonna forget. I want to start talking about the hitting, because it's hard. All right, let's take a break.
All right.
What's up, family? Welcome back to this episode of Show and Tell Boston, where we are with our friends Angie and Vlad from Rhythm and Roots. All right, I want to talk about what we were talking about before our break, which is how hard it is to enforce your new code of conduct and intervening on the lineage that we all know and have, which is, putting your hands on your kids.
A lot of unlearning has to happen.
Yeah. What made you like outside of being like, okay, like I really need to switch this up because I don't want my children to have the same traumas that I have. Like I know, like I like that's like. That's a why, but like, is there any other why outside of just the not wanting them to have the same, life that you had growing up?
Yeah. So again, with our first daughter, she was in the hospital for like 17 days. So me and my husband, again, new parents, shocker. We're like just reading a lot of things while she's there. Like I'm trying to breastfeed and just reading and just there. And he read something that was like, why would you hit? It was about daughters because we have girls. So it was like, why would you abuse your daughter, like spank her out of love and then expect her not to be in domestic violence later on because that's what she knows. Like, if someone loves me, they're going to hit me so I learn. And then he read that and I was like, well, that's not happening. But again, it's like your natural instinct because it's the easy way out. Someone does something, pop, don't do it again. But are they really learning? Like, what are you teaching in that moment?
Right.
And then take it back to, okay, I'm learning. I'm at a new job. I'm learning. If my boss was to lay hands on me, that's assault.
Right.
And they're supposed to be teaching me. Right. A teacher in school hits you, you're going to jail.
Right.
But then why do we allow it to happen to children? And they're the most vulnerable population. Oh my God. It's not right. So I just feel like all of that, like I can't. And again, the easy thing to do is just to hit. So you have to take a step back. Am I burning on the inside because I just want to hit her? Yes. Yeah. Am I going to do it? Absolutely not. Like I can't allow that trauma to continue.
Yeah, I heard a quote recently. You and I were talking about this the other day, how someone, I forget who it said, but they said basically the crux of parenthood is self-regulation. And essentially what that means is it's not about following a set list of rules or protocols on what a mom does or how a dad, like, it's not about setting that rules. It's about learning how to regulate yourself and your emotions. Because I'm going to be honest with you, just like you said, you're on fire on the inside, because it would actually provide a release for me to do what is familiar to me, which is every time my son slapped me, I slap him back. Because I saw, I've seen it happen before. Kids as young as my son, they pop their parent, and that's it. But, and my son is strong too. He's 40 pounds and he's 40
pounds? What?
He's about 40. Last time I checked, he was 35, and I got scared, so I stopped checking.
What? That's crazy. A
I'm like,
2-year-old?
Bro.
He wears 4T clothes. He
What?
is a wall.
He was in a 5T today.
Stocky.
5T.
He was in a 5T today.
That's crazy.
And it was a little tight. I'm like, bro, where's
what?
it coming from? We're not feeding you legume ideas. Where's it coming from, bro?
Sous-poit, sous-poit.
Like, what you doing?
That's crazy.
So it's self-regulation. So for me, learning how to parent my son in the way that I choose to parent my son is learning how to find an alternative, which is literally to walk away. Now I have ADHD, right?
Yeah.
And you guys you mentioned you probably have ADHD.
Absolutely.
ADHD.
Diagnosed.
So when my son was first born, that's when I realized that loud noises bother me. Now, I grew up in a loud house.
Right.
And I can listen to loud music.
Right.
But if I hear loud screaming,
Oh my gosh.
my brain it's on fire.
Yeah.
And so my son has a set of lungs on him, boy, like you don't understand. He shrieks.
High pitched.
High pitched. She hurt. And she got 2 girls. And he's a soprano now.
He's
compared to
like
them.
3 octaves higher than the girls.
So I'm like,
Not 3 octaves higher.
dude. And it's like a death shriek. I think if Satan was in the door, he'd be like, oh, shoot.
Don't want to mess with him.
I ain't going in there. It's a little bit too much for me. So how do I deal with him? How do I give him constructive parenting if I'm triggered and I want to run? The first thing I want to do is going to be to hit him, right? To make it stop. Because oftentimes when our parents hit us, it's not because that's all that was taught to them, but that's also how they know how to take care of themselves. If I hit you, then things work for me now.
Right. Right.
If I hit you and you stop, that means I can regulate
power
myself.
move.
It's a power move. But it's like I'm trying to, and so that's the thing. As parents, we're challenged to do 2 things at the same time, and it's to provide the emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual needs for our children while just also doing it for ourselves. So if we don't have a history of doing that for ourselves, then why are we going to do it for our kids, right?
True.
But my mom used to say something to me. When I started going to therapy, my mom was like, what are you going to therapy for?
Yeah.
You telling our business.
Right.
My mom hit me up.
She don't know
I was
you.
with my mom the other day, and she was like, you know,
Right.
even saying they've been looking at your content online.
Oh, goodness.
I'm like, Mom, you don't even trust nobody in Haiti. So who are these people? So all the people you don't trust, don't like, they're telling you things that you don't want to hear?
Right.
How convenient.
Right. That's funny.
What?
You said that to her?
I said that to her. I'm like, Mom, why don't you just keep it a stack? Why don't you say it was you?
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't really no people in Haiti. It was just her.
Man,
Vlad,
let me say
please.
something.
Vlad, you're reaching the people in Haiti, Vlad. Embrace method.
Listen, tout haïtien right now.
I'm screaming.
Embrace method.
Yes. Say, Vladimir, you went online. But here's the thing. So my mom had it. She kept it a stat with me. She was like, you're making it. So when I said that, I'm like, Mom, why don't you say it was you? She's like,
Yeah.
Well, I am going to say it was me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was really your cousin. But you're making everybody believe that I didn't do everything I could for you. And I was like, ooh. Okay, now we get it. I was like, Mom, if you listen to all my content, you'll hear about how much I praise you. I wouldn't be where I am without my mom.
Yeah.
My mom never made that daring move to leave a husband that was a breadwinner with 2 kids. Then we would have never been here, right?
Right.
But I'm like, Mom, just because we can contextualize behavior doesn't mean that we can excuse it.
Right.
We make mistakes. We're human.
Right.
And so when we're making mistakes with our kids, like you said, apologizing to your kids when you're wrong, that's not something that my mom was wired to do. Right. The easy thing to do is just continue doing what you know how to do.
You apologize
Put it under the
by
rug.
you apologize by providing that roof, giving food, whatever. It's like the bare necessities of what a child needs, but they just think it's enough. And there's like layers to it. You know, that's kind of like, again, the bare minimum of what you're supposed to do as a parent, but they feel like that's what they did. And that's like, you're fine. We've had that conversation, me and my sisters, with our mom. And again, my mom, I wouldn't be where I am without her. She's the best, the strongest woman I know, raised 8 kids. Like, she's great. Oof. Right.
Not today.
Not in today's economy, but we'll tell her things like, yo, this happened. Like, I processed it in therapy, whatever. You know, this happened to this. Oh, that never happened.
Oh, my God.
That, no. You think I'm a terrible mom. And I'm like, if you think you're a terrible mom because I'm telling you this, that's on you. Yeah. Like, I never said that. Right. I know you did what you could with what you had, the information that you had, but okay. And it's like, sometimes we just want an apology. Like, look, you're right. I'm sorry you feel that way. It did happen, blah, blah. But it's like, that never happened. You had a roof for, you never went hungry. You had shoes for school. You did this. But it's like beyond that, though, you know?
It's funny, man. So we were visiting my grandmother's grave. My mom lived with us. And, you know, we were with my son, and I was trying to, you know, my son is like, you know what kids do with toddlers, squirming on you, trying to hold.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to prop him back up. Again, this kid is like a couple pounds away from being my same size and height.
Right.
So I'm like, yo, bro, I'm trying to handle a grown man over here. Right? Like,
Literally.
lay off me. My mom's like, Vladimir, you touch him too hard. You touch him too hard. What class of bitch is that? And I said, you gotta beat the kid. I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm like, and I said, wait, time out, Mom. You're talking about manhandling kids? And then, so my brother was, she was like, oh, you can't say that I never put a hand on you guys. I'm like, so me and my brother look at each other like,
Seriously, no, listen, when these moms become grandmas, they're new people. They're new people. My sister pops her boys. Like, if they do something, it's like a pop on the hand. Mom's like, don't hit the baby. Not the same woman that used to mollywop us, telling us not to pop a hand.
Can't be you.
Not the baby.
Absolutely. What? Absolutely. How do you think that ties back into like parenting and trauma and realization, and like even for you, like you have another brother, you have 7 other siblings. I have 7 other siblings. You have a lot of sisters as well too.
6.
He has only sisters. So how, and you know, like they have that time, and whenever you leave the house, they have the time to like think and reflect. Like growing up, my mom would also be like, okay, if I can just get Corey out of here, then if I can just get Holly out of here, then if I can just get Cricket out of here, then if I can just get Todd out of here, if I can just get Aaron out of here, then just get Simeon out of here. And then once Simeon left, he's the baby, went into the Air Force. It's like, now I got this empty house. When are y'all coming back? You know, got that time to reflect, think about all the things that they wish they could have done better.
Yeah, and you see it too in like different motherhood, fatherhood iterations on the kids, right? Because she raised me totally different than she raised the baby. She was tired. That baby never got hit.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
My baby brother and sister barely got hit, you know, and it's like a different situation with them. And those are we call them her Google babies. Like they can do no wrong. They can do no wrong. Me and my sisters, our oldest group, we feel like she judges us all the time. It's like, you're not going to discipline your children. Like they get disciplined just because I'm not smacking them. It's not discipline, you know? But I was like, you never did that to the babies, but okay. You know, so it's like, she's constantly what we like to tell her, you're judging us. Like, please stop, mommy. It's not the same raising kids 30 years ago, 35 years ago that it is now. But it's like, there's that constant judgment as opposed to my little sister, my brother, they do whatever they want. Right. And it's like, they're so great. And don't bother, he's working, don't bother him. But you'll call me in the middle of my job, my work day. But, you're not at work. Yes, I am. It's the same thing. But you know what I mean? So it's like, because we're the oldest, like I'm the oldest, that's what she does.
Oh my God.
You know? It's just wild.
I'm already knowing.
you know, that brings up. So I actually had the opposite experience because I'm the youngest. My brother's the oldest. And like I said, when I was searching for my ADHD diagnosis, that's when I found out my brother was autistic.
Whoa.
That was only a couple of years ago.
Whoa.
And I've known my brother my whole life. And I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense when you think about it. But I remember my initial response. And the only reason why I found out was because I had a computer teacher in kindergarten who also had my brother 6 years prior. And so I had to tap into her because she was the one she's known me my whole life. Now, when I had the questionnaire, they said you have to find somebody that's known you your whole life. If I asked my mom, they're like, you don't have ADHD, you just need to quit.
They think you're slow. That's like what, something's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you.
What? Listen. I'm like, oh.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm gonna just go around that and just go to somebody who's gonna give me objective. Right. So when I found that out, I cried.
Yeah.
And I was angry.
Yeah.
Because for so many years I was compared against my brother. And for so many years, my father he didn't even treat him like a son. He didn't treat him like a child. And at times he even treated him like a human being. And we were always, not on my mom's side, for my father, my brother and I were raised against each other, right? Like my dad would call him a sissy in front of me at the table. He would emasculate him, just so many terrible things. And for many years, I felt guilty for not doing anything, go along for the ride. I was a kid. I had to forgive myself for that. And so when I found out my brother was autistic, I'm like, oh, wow, I could have treated him better. but I forgive myself, right? Because I didn't know what I didn't know. But what I wanted to get to was there is and this happens a lot in single family households, there's emotional enmeshment. You touched on it earlier, brother, about how when parents separate, especially if there's multiples, they're going to have some of their favorites. But the favoritism could also evolve where my mom never married anybody else. She never dated anybody else. My father never dated anyone else. True. So once they separated, they were separate from love completely.
Whoa.
So guess who became my mother's boyfriend?
Just like me.
Guess who became my father's wife? Me. And so whenever they had issues with each other, and this happened long before they separated, they came to me. Now I'm a child. This happens to so many children where now you're being exposed to all these adult situations and conversations and expected to take a side, expected to have an opinion. Like, bro, I'm just trying to survive and eat my Fruit Loops.
I gotta do my calculus homework.
What?
And it happened to, bro, I remember when I was getting ready to go to school.
We had you to be a therapist, baby.
Yeah, bro.
They don't want to go to therapy. They want to go to Vlad.
Yeah. Yo, I kid you not, yo. I was eating my breakfast. I was eating my Fruit Loops, and we had a little TV on top of the fridge. I was watching Sonic the Hedgehog, getting ready to go to school, and I looked down. Thank God I looked down.
Yeah.
And I see in the middle of my little Fruit Loop, little baby cockroach. I'm like, hey, yo, Vlad, what's up, man? Yo, these Fruit Loops are cool, bro. Hey, yo, man. Hey, listen, if you get some Apple Jacks in this B, man, like, I'll be chilling. And I was like,
not the roach, like the WB frog talking in your fruit.
No more.
Yeah, I was.
The Apple
No
Jazz.
more Fruit Loops.
That shit ruined my.
Oh
Absolutely.
no, I wouldn't be able to touch Fruit Loops to this day.
But you know what? We don't
Y'all
even
ain't grow
realize.
up deep enough in the hood.
Yeah, and we don't even realize that that's traumatic too, right?
That is.
So, for example, last year I found a mouse in my house.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep. I'm telling you, I couldn't sleep. I could not sleep. I would not sleep. I was gluing the walls and I was doing the caulking and my wife was like, why don't you chill? I'm like, you don't understand when you've lived with the infestations. I lived with cockroaches for the first 17 years of my life. I'm not talking about like 1 or 2. I'm talking about like you open up the church cupboards, bro, you could smell the cockroach. I know what they smell like. I know what mice smell like. So I'm like, I can't breathe because now that I have a house of my own, I refuse to be invaded upon. I go to war with these men.
I go to war too.
And it's crazy because
I rent too high.
Word.
Where you live, lad, it's very rural, so it's expected for something to get in your house, but you're like,
care.
not over here,
Not up in here.
Out of here.
not in here.
Listen,
Well, we'll call everybody.
yeah, because look, this is the way I look at it. If y'all are field mice, stay in your field.
You're not a house mouse.
This is not with me. Play with
You're not a
God.
house
The hell
mouse.
you
Go
coming
back
here
in
for?
your
Ain't no seeds and nothing like that.
Yeah, go back in
stay
nature.
somewhere.
So would you categorize that as having like PTSD,
Definitely.
or would you say more so trauma?
I don't know. It could be both. Right? Like, I guess it depends on perspective, right? I'm sure there's a clinical answer to this, but is it traumatic where you have a show and tell? No pun intended. But you go to school, you have show and tell, and you have your little Lego set, you're ready to share, and then you open up your bag and there's a big ass cockroach on it.
Oh.
And so you guys zip that back up before you get shipped to DSS.
Oh,
Is
yikes.
what they used to say. That happened to me. And I was like, I can't share now. Which told me that I can't share anything about my life. Ever. Because if I do,
Then I got to tell the story about these roaches.
What?
It's funny now. It was not funny in school with your Legos.
Right.
like Vlad, how's everything at home? Cockroaches.
I feel
That's
that.
PTSD.
Can I go over to your house? Absolutely not.
We had ants in fire ant, like not fire ants, but like carpenter ants, whatever they're called, normal during the spring and summer season. But I saw one in my house and I went crazy. And I had to explain it to my wife because she's asking like, why are you so obsessed with this? And it's like, and all I can say is like, I refuse to be back in that situation.
Right.
I feel that.
I think that is traumatic. I think that could
PTSD.
be PTSD.
Yeah.
Because it disrupted our lives. It was
Right.
so disruptive. Like
Right.
when you go down to the bathroom late at night and you turn right and all the cockroaches are in the club dancing.
I would flip in my house now.
And grinding on each other and doing a two-step and doing all this eggs falling.
They
and
run
shit.
away
Like,
when you
yo,
turn on the light.
They're like, hey,
Grinding on each other.
They in that big
It's the club let out. Club let out.
shit.
it's a let out, and it's like I'm the police. I'm just trying to brush my teeth, but a cockroach
You are the
is
police. They knew you were the.
That's
getting
crazy.
in on my toothbrush, bro. Like that's my toothbrush.
Not the toothbrush.
Okay, we have to wrap it up soon, but I'm gonna talk about two things because I never heard of the word enmeshment, but I've experienced it. And I also want to talk about what we were talking about earlier, epigenetics. So I have a sister who's 1 year older than me. Her name is Holly. She's the best sister ever. And growing up, Holly would always be at this one desk from the time that she got home from school till like 10 o'clock at night. And she would literally be sitting there for hours, like doing her homework. And I'd be like, dang, like why Holly still sitting there doing her homework? And my mom would just get so frustrated with my sister doing homework for so long. And my mom used to be really, I just got to be real because it was life that I lived. But she would kind of treat me a little bit better than my sister, right? And it wasn't until like maybe like last year, my sister, she was so annoying about it. She would be sending me like an autistic message. She'd be like, Cricket, I think I have autism. She'd be like, did you know autistic people do this? You'd be like, autistic people. I'm like, Holly, please. Please don't send me any other message about autism. But I would always be the sister. I was opposite of you, right? I would always support my sister. Like I taught my sister how to ride a bike. I taught my sister how to blow bubbles. I taught my sister a lot of the things that she knows how to do, like practical wise. My sister taught me a lot about music. She taught me a lot about art. Taught me a lot about drawing. She was that. So maybe about 6 months ago, she was diagnosed as having severe autism, and I never put two and two together, and like you and your brother, she kept saying to me, well, Cricket, autism shows up differently in Black women as it does in white boys.
That's so true.
And women are so misdiagnosed and not even diagnosed till years later because women know how to mask. Well, so true. You're the best maskers ever. Absolutely. So it's like it's like they pick up on social cues a little bit better than boys. Absolutely. So it's like, oh, that's normal. I'm gonna do that. And they'll do it forever until someone intervenes and says, you know what? That's not normal. Absolutely. I'm acting. I'm over here pretending to be a neurotypical member of society. So wow, I'm glad your sister got the diagnosis.
Me too. But my question is, I had another question, but I think this is more important. Is your husband neurodivergent?
No, but he is very musically inclined. So maybe, I don't know. We do think our daughter is. But again, she's a girl that we got her tested. She's not. But she just does things to me that are like she has perfect pitch. She picks up on songs like she'll hear it one time, she's singing it. Like she's just very talented in that. And that could just be she's some kind of music prodigy or she's neurodivergent. Right. We don't know yet because she's too young to test again. So, yeah.
Is your wife neurodivergent?
No, she's not. Her brother is though. So her brother that is Wallace's
in the band,
bandmate. I don't know what to call it. He is, and she's like, she always says it. I always knew when I met you that you had ADHD, but I was cool with it because my brother had ADHD, and I was like, well, thank you.
Vlad, please.
That's love.
My son be making the same face. How does it feel to work with someone who's not neurodivergent and with someone who is neurodivergent?
I think it's great. I feel like Vlad and I are a little bit opposite when it comes to things, which I think is so important when it comes to like any kind of relationship, working or otherwise. Right. And I think I kind of pull him out of that sometimes when he's in the zone of things. Something that I love to tell him is don't let perfection get in the way of good enough. Like we are gonna do it. It's gonna be fine, Vlad. It does not need to be picture perfect. And he does get zoned in on certain things. So I love it. And he, again, some things do have to be perfect and I have to know that that's okay. Like we'll get there, but I'm a recovering perfectionist to the point that I don't even care if things are perfect at all.
Me too. I'm recovering now.
Recovering. Yeah.
I like how you put your hand up.
Yeah. I used to be like, it kind of.
I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Hi, Bob.
And then Bob's like, wait, let me do that again.
I gotta do it again. It has to be perfect. Yeah.
Right. That's hilarious.
So I think it's a good balance and we have a good time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I need neurotypical people in my life.
Yeah.
Otherwise I would never get anything done. Okay. My wife is like probably the most neurotypical person if we're talking about spectrums. probably like the most neurotypical person I know. Like she is just straight to the book, just everything's together. I'm so scatterbrained, and just like you, she pulls me out of these hyper focus modes where I am just lost in the sauce on Amazon. I got like, I don't know about y'all, but if you look at my browsers, I've got 25 tabs open on one browser times 5, and I don't even remember half of the time. And so I'll go into every one, like, oh shit, that's what I was doing. Right. Oh wait, what about that one?
But you know what's so funny? I'm not diagnosed.
Yo.
136.
A lot of tabs. I'm not diagnosed ADHD, but I feel like my husband, his constant thing with me is like, Angie, close them tabs in my brain because I'm constantly thinking about something. We'll be laying in bed about to fall asleep, and I'm like, babe, did you remember to call the doctor about Alana's medication?
Absolutely.
And he's like, why are you thinking about that right now? And I'm like, it's in my brain.
Right.
I need to talk about it right now.
Right. I need to talk about it right now.
And we'll be driving. I'm like, all right, game plan when we get home.
Right.
This is what we need to do. And he's like,
absolutely.
It's Sunday. Like, why do you care what we do when we get home?
You know what helped me a lot with that was going to the academy helped me with my ADHD a lot.
Okay.
Because I was notoriously late for everything. I was telling Angie earlier when we were riding up here. I thought, no, it's not even Haitian time. It's like Haitian African Island time. Like, it's like all of them, right? I used to think that in college that the time that the class started was a suggestion. I thought you could show up.
Not a suggestion. That's hilarious.
If my class was from 7 to 8:30, I'd stroll in at like 8:15. Like, hey, what's up? What I miss?
I'll catch the summary at the end.
And it was funny until I failed the class. I was like, oh,
right.
Okay. I guess we actually supposed to be here at 8:00. Yeah.
So were you getting physically disciplined in the academy? Like what for you was like, okay, this is a mandate.
So in the academy, so they can't put a hand on you, but they could put a hand on all your stuff, and they could make your life a living hell, right? And so when I'd forget things, like, right, so when in the academy, you have to carry something called a gig card. And so every time you mess up, they give you a to from, where you have to trace the department head on paper. And you can't do it during the day because you're in classes and doing dumb shit all day. And then you get to and then when they close lights out at night, you can't see. So everybody's in the bathroom taking a dump, and you gotta trace your little letterhead and write your to from bad boy letter. And so you used to have to carry a card, like an index card, chronicling all of the bad boy letters that you have for the week, and you got to keep it current. And I lost it. And so my DI, he's like, hey, Louisssaint, where's your gig card? I was like, sir, I don't have it, sir. He's like,
Yeah. Why's that, kid?
I said, sir, because I carelessly lost it, sir. He's like,
Yeah. Because I have it right here.
I'm screaming.
And I was like, I couldn't even say anything. So he had me rip it. It was crazy. My life was hard there. Everybody's life was hard there. So, but the structure of the academy and the discipline and the fear that they instill in you it scared me into being organized. So,
is your mom neurodivergent?
I think 100% she is.
Yeah,
she is, because of my same tendencies. I'll clean. I'm just gonna clean the kitchen counter real quick.
Yeah.
Before you know it, the entire house
Never
is
clean enough.
never clean enough. Like today, my son was watching Sesame Street, whatever, and I'm sitting here scrubbing the floor. With the Clorox wipes because there's just too much dirt on it.
Yeah.
My mom does the same thing. I used to think my mom was crazy. For going down into the basement. We have an unfinished basement in her house, and she'd go down there like, oh, I gotta do spring cleaning, and she's sweeping, but she's sweeping dirt.
My mom loves
to sweep. There's dust everywhere. I'm like, what are we doing?
Right.
The dirt will never not be dirt.
It's like sweeping grass.
That's true.
So I think my mom is neurodivergent.
Yeah.
Like I said, my father had I don't know what my father has. My brother has autism. But now when he got that diagnosis, or I'm sure he had it. I don't think he even knows he's autistic, which a lot of people don't.
Right.
But when I observe my father, they do the same thing. It's almost exactly alike. So I have two possibly neurodivergent parents. There's no way that we weren't going to be neurodiverse ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so part of standing in the gap is also standing in the gap for my son. Like, he just had his early intervention appointment.
He did.
And he doesn't qualify for any services.
Yeah.
But he definitely has high sensory needs. I'm like, I know what that is.
So it's epigenetic.
That's my boy. Yeah. And like, I've been looking into that, the epigenetics, because there are a lot of links with ADHD and trauma.
That's what somebody told me the other day.
So, like, kids who have early childhood adverse childhood experiences are have a higher likelihood of developing depression, ADHD, anxiety, hypersensitivities, all that stuff
like that.
So my son's environment, right? So my son and I's environment as kids are not the same,
Right.
but that expression is still there.
Right.
So what am I going to do about it? I literally had no services. Okay, I went through school. I got suspended my 7th grade year, my 8th grade year. I failed my sophomore year. I failed math my sophomore year. I was always getting kicked out of class. I was always just disrupting class, and everyone just thought I was. Because I was smart, because I could write and read well. They just thought, like, Vlad doesn't care. He's just not motivated. I'm like, bro, I can't sit straight.
Right.
Half is because of the ADHD, but the other half is because I don't know where I'm at home.
A lot of it is that.
Changing.
I think that we go into these schools, like into the schools, and they always try to label us with these labels like ADHD and stuff like that because, one, they just don't have the system for black kids. You know what I mean? The system's not built around us. So, like, keeping us in a, like, active student is like already going to be hard because the system is tailored to a different type of energy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I just think because I grew up in that same situation where like I was always getting suspended from elementary. I was always being put in these situations because like just they looking at it like, okay, well, we don't understand how to deal with this. This is something that, when these kids show this, it's because they are dealing with some hormonal imbalance or something like that. So they try to classify us, especially because it's easier because they get paid, get checks and stuff like that for those things.
And that's why teachers are so important. Like teachers that care are so important because you can be in a school that, doesn't care. They want to label everybody, but then you have teachers that understand that they're up to date with things, and they'll see a kid and they're like, you know what? He just needs to stand in the corner instead of being sit down. They just need to twirl their little pencil over there, and then just being able to stand and move around the class, they're able to succeed because they can't be sitting still. But it takes the teacher kind of knowing the students and being able to understand what they need versus putting them in a box because school is like, sit here, do this.
Right. Exactly. A lot of us are hands-on learners. It's a lot of different ways to learn.
Exactly.
Right. That's right.
I just learned just sitting there taking notes or anything. I had a teacher in 8th grade who, how back in the day you used to sit at like a desk of 4 students. I got kicked out of one desk. I went to the other desk community. I got kicked out of that one. I went to the other one. I went to all the communities. And at the end, she's like, yo, just go sit in the back and face the wall. Literally. And
it's not right.
Commonplace. It happened to me all the time. Whatever. It's just it is what it is. But then this was the only teacher after class was over. She's like, V, I need to talk to you. She's like, I know that you can do better. Why aren't you? Nobody asked me that. So I'm like, I don't know. And I'll never forget, in the blurb of my yearbook, she said, we look forward to seeing your writing in print soon. And I said, wait, you believe in me like that? Nobody believed in me like that. Like I could do that. And so for me, last year, to be able to send her a copy of my book.
That's beautiful, Vlad.
Oh, that is a beautiful thing, bro.
And I said, I got to sign this and give it to you because you believed in me when nobody else did.
She embraced you.
She embraced me.
Embrace method.
That's a beautiful thing.
Embrace method. Pick it up.
I got a question for you guys then. How about this? Since we was talking about all this trauma, let's talk about some healing. Like, I'd like y'all to share like some ways y'all cope with some of the trauma that y'all had, or different ways that y'all healed through the trauma that y'all like experienced through the environments that you've been in.
I think being able to share, like we're very open. Again, when we first started getting to know each other, we would just be up talking all night, very raw, very real. I'm very glad that our first couple episodes didn't get recorded because I was boohoo crying. I was like, Vlad, I know it's nothing wrong with it, Vlad, but it was like the first one. I'm like, can we get a couple episodes in before I'm over here bare my heart? I'm
not bearing my heart.
I'm out here just
remade.
You gotta put the heart out there with the coconuts.
With the coconuts.
Y'all are hilarious.
Heart and coconut.
Heart, coconut.
But yeah, just sharing and being honest, you know. Therapy, great. Talk therapy, awesome. And just building that community and having people that either share the same experiences or that are able to relate to you in other ways. And absolutely.
So Angie mentioned earlier in my studio at the house where we record, I have this whiteboard where I track everything. Right? And so I track meditation, journaling, my check-ins daily, and then my sobriety. And I'm good. I've been sober for a while now. So, but every day and Bible study. So I Bible study, I journal, and I check in with somebody in that order. If I don't meditate, that's fine, but I have to do at least one of those things. When I don't, that's when I start getting thrown off.
Yeah.
And so my boy Preston, he told me a while ago. He said you need constant areas to release. And so think about all the things you see and experience from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep.
Routine.
You could be seeing, especially as a police officer, like I could wake up any day and be seeing dead bodies. I could be waking up every day and dealing with the microaggressions at work, right? If I don't have scheduled release, journaling, therapy, check-ins, church, I'm gonna go crazy if I have nowhere to put all of this stuff, right? And so I do that, but the game changer for me in healing was EMDR therapy. Y'all ever heard of EMDR?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
So EMDR therapy is very specific to trauma. And instead of in talk therapy, I could show up to talk therapy. I had talk therapy the other day. I just show up with my therapist and we'll talk about anything that's under the sun.
Yeah.
And I started EMDR therapy to work through my sexual abuse history. And that's and the thing that's specific about it, you have to relive it. And they do this thing where they they do this.
Oh, what is it called? The methadrome?
Yeah, it's like, I forget the name.
It's like hypnotist?
Yeah, kind of, but they don't really hypnotise you. Like you're basically, it's
trying to get you to synchronize.
Yeah, it's getting you to be present with the memory and the feelings, what it made you believe about yourself and what you want to believe instead. And what I thought was just going to be about sexual abuse ended up working through my entire trauma, including those times.
With your inner child as a 30-year-old, then when you were going through the state trooper or through the
through the training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all experiences are valid.
Right.
And being in the state police taught me how to be